Sure.
Nice.
So it's kind of random, but I was looking for something, the next kind of thing, and it kind of fell in my lap. And I started out sort of had camera, will shoot, like shot weddings, I shot depositions for lawyers, which was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Got yelled at a lot because lawyers would like to argue, and so did sports. I did anything I could get my hands on as a freelancer for a few years. Ended up getting lucky with this agency and was kind of one of the early hires. Started out with just about 4 of us in the company, and then the video thing kind of blew up and sort of became the business. And so I got to a point where I was running a team of about 20 people, and it was...
Welcome to Future Driven. I'm Adam Kopp, and on this podcast, I talk with entrepreneurs and industry professionals about the challenges and the wins in their business. See the vision, drive the future. So welcome to episode 14 of the Future Driven podcast. Today, I have motivational speaker, Nate Cornelison. Is that the right title for you, Nate?
Absolutely. I'm a motivational speaker.
Speaker. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
People, I don't give motivational speaks. I give motivational speeches, right? So motivational speaker, life guru, business, successful thinkfluencer. A lot of words can be used.
Cool. Well, Nate, I really appreciate you taking the time to share us a little bit about your story. So can you give us a little bit about your background? What got you to today?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so, I work with some of the biggest clients, some of the biggest billionaire life coaches in the world, some of the most important companies in the world. And I help them achieve their dreams. I help transform their lives so that they can go out and do more, they can be more, and they can be successful in the world and make more money. So some of the clients I work with, you probably heard of them before, Carrot Top, Roseanne Arnold, ppface.com, which is actually a urinal cake company, best in class, best at what they do. I'm their business coach, and a lot of other ones too. So I work with these companies, these personas. I help them achieve more success in their life. Before that, people always ask, Nate, where did you make your first $1 billion? And it really just started as a pyramid system where I crafted a business where I was selling the internet to elderly people, and I made a butt ton of coin. Don't tell the IRS. Seriously, don't tell the IRS. That would be very bad, especially it's tax season. I feel like that would be not a good idea to do that right now, but made a lot of money, and it's been an exciting ride.
That's awesome, man. So what you must have a secret recipe or a secret sauce. What can you share with us today on, what is your secret to success?
Oh, so many secrets to success. In fact, that's an ebook that I've just recently released called Nate Cornelison's 269 Secrets to Success, the secret sauce and all of the drippings. You can download that from my website for free when you pay $25. So that's something that, number one, I'd like to encourage all the viewers right away. Just hit them with like, hey, buy my stuff, right? Before I give any value, go ahead and buy it from me. Give me money, pay me money for that. So one of the secrets is to get people to pay you money. So that's one of the top secrets to success. If you want to make more money, if you want to make millions of billions of dollars in your life, you're going to need to get people to pay you that money. They have the money in their account, and you're trying to get their money into your account. And you should do whatever is necessary to do that, right? So that's one of the top secrets to success. And I think, underneath that, we get into some of the strategies like how to not sleep ever, right? Because if we're going to be grinding, if we're going to be hustling, if we're going to be achieving more, if we're going to be producing, if we're going to be taking over the world, because at the end of the day, it's just about world domination, right? That's what everybody wants to do. You really can't sleep very often for that, right? If you're going to be a total hustler at all times. I recommend, in fact, doing what's called sleep bursts. So instead of sleeping for like a full 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 5 hours even, you sleep for 10 seconds a minute.
Okay.
Every minute. And if you add up those minutes across the entire day, there's no real way to know how many minutes that is, but that's one of the strategies underneath the top strategy of paying money, getting money paid to yourself. So there's a couple of strategies that your audience can use right away.
Okay, I like that. So let me know if you need to take any breaks, to have any quick sprint naps or whatever you're calling them.
What'll happen is I'll just, in the mid sentence, I'll just probably doze right off.
Perfect. And then we'll just let you have a little nap here, and then you'll be back.
And then I usually just wake right up, and I kind of blacked out there, but I that's an example of how I sleep. So I do that just throughout the entire day.
And that's just how you drive your efficiency, so that you can convince more people to give you more money. And
one of the ways.
Give us one more. You got to have one. And I know you want people to download this ebook, so you don't want to give up too much, but if you could give us one more strategy, so that people know to give you $25.
Yeah, absolutely. So another one for sure that I use this all the time. I recommend all influencers, all thinkfluencers, all thought leaders, all life coaches, all gurus. Every one of you guys should be doing this, is taking photos of yourself in front of very expensive vehicles like a Lamborghini or a Porsche, posting those on social media, talking about how you're living your ultimate life in the description. So using social media as a tool to show people that you're better than they are is one of the most important ways that you can get people to pay you more money, because they like, hey, look, Nate Katanis is out there living his best life. He's got the Lambos, he's got the Porsches, he's got the Lear jet, right? And I should just give him my money, and I'm sure we'll figure out the rest. So that's another strategy that you can use right now. And in fact, I offer a Photoshop template where you can just actually download that, Photoshop yourself into a photo of a Lamborghini or a jet, a private jet. And then you can post that directly to social media, and you can download that photo template for free off my website when you pay $25. So perfect. Another opportunity for value right there.
Okay, great. So I know you're a busy guy. So what do you got coming up? What's the next big speaking event that you're going to, or where are you traveling to next?
Yeah, I mean, so much excitement, so many speaking opportunities as a motivational speaker. I work a lot, like I said, I work a lot with some of the most, fulfilled, successful, best, productive billionaires in the entire world. So I am going to actually be speaking at a billionaire conference for salespeople that are going to be, the industry is all focused on selling glue.
Nice.
So it's the best salespeople in the world in the glue industry, and the content's going to be incredibly sticky.
Well, that's amazing. Is that coming up soon, or is that still a ways out?
It is coming up. It's March. It's actually it's actually happening right now. Do
you need to go?
I might need to go.
Nate, yeah. Hey, you know what? You're a busy guy. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on.
This glue ain't going to sell itself. I got to get these guys going here. Thanks so much for having me. You're welcome for having me, actually. And you're welcome to your audience.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking your time.
All right. Yeah, so no, I'll take over. It's fine. Yeah, go do the glue thing.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, what's up?
Matt, how you doing, man? Thanks for taking
I'm
the
good.
time.
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I guess I'm here to fill in for Nate. Took off.
Nate just took off, but he had mentioned that you had some time, or he didn't mention that, but he made it seem like you would have some time to talk with us as well.
Yeah, I'm here to help out and fill in any way I can. I'm his administrative assistant, so I kind of have no choice.
Well, let's be honest. You're the big vision behind Nate Katanis Matt, thank you for taking the time. Matt, you're CEO of Fungi Media.
Yeah, I guess I've never said CEO of Fungi, but it sounds kind of cool.
What do you call yourself? The founder?
Yeah, I guess I'm a founder and I'm the sort of the managing director of the company and yeah, I guess CEO if you think about it.
Yeah, you got a team. How big's your team?
Well, we got a couple of full-time um, folks in the business, and then we have sort of a pretty strong network of contractor freelancer folks that are sort of on the kind of a permanent or so basis, so to speak,
Nice.
with the type of work that we do, since we're doing a lot of production work, and that involves a lot of different skill sets. So the project can sometimes dictate who we're working with, but small team. There's 3 of us full time, and then a good 10 of us or so, sort of more on the freelancer side.
Nice. Well, let's take a quick step back, if you will, because you and I went to college together, played Iowa rugby together, something about 20 years ago or so. And um, what I'd love to know a little bit about post college, your career path, and between like when you started work into when you launched Fungi, and how long ago was that?
Yeah, for sure. Gonna go back in time. Doo-doo-doo-doo. And so I went to school to basically study film, which was not something that went to the University of Iowa. It's not like necessarily a school you think of for film, um, but they have an amazing writers workshop there, and also they actually have a pretty cool grad program there. And I kind of got you kind of combine with some of the grad stuff, and you do some really cool stuff. So I kind of got into film there. And after that, I ended up in Chicago kind of randomly. I was also a musician, and I was recording an album, and I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. I was recording an album there, was done recording it. And I had some friends in Chicago say, "Hey, we need a roommate. You want to move here?" I said, "Okay, sure."
Nice.
So it's kind of random, but I was looking for something, the next kind of thing, and it kind of fell in my lap. And I started out sort of had camera, will shoot, like shot weddings, I shot depositions for lawyers, which was a nightmare. Got yelled at a lot because lawyers would like to argue, and so did sports. I did anything I could get my hands on as a freelancer for a few years. Ended up getting lucky with this agency, and was kind of one of the early hires. Started out with just about 4 of us in the company, and then the video thing kind of blew up, and sort of became the business. And so I got to a point where I was running a team of about 20 people, and I became the creative director over 15 years or so. And there was art directors and designers and a bunch of different types of people that helped make stuff. And so that's kind of what I was doing for a big chunk of my career. And then Fungi started about 3 years ago.
And what agency was that before Fungi?
Yeah, Sheffield Marketing in Chicago. We're not big company. There's maybe the height of it was about 30 of us total. And we did messaging and marketing for a lot of large organizations, a lot of B2B type companies.
Nice. Okay. And so you took all that experience and you decided to take the leap of faith and start your own company.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I think I always knew I wanted to sort of own my own thing or do my own thing. And I think the timing was a bit of it was kind of the writing was on the wall. And my last company, it's sort of, my boss sort of shifted the focus of the business a little bit, kind of let some of the marketing agency side of it go. It shifted quite a bit where I was actually helping him market his business, and it was a second business, and it was very, very different. It kind of wasn't the same thing. I wasn't telling stories as much. And I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm ready for the next, this is a good moment and time to sort of go out on my own. And I had learned a lot in that time period with that other company, because I got to a place where I was managing people and hiring people, and I was managing money and managing operational things. And so I at least learned business stuff.
Right.
But not all of it. Learned a lot more in the past 3 years.
Right, right. Yeah. So then let's dive into that. So what, so video, to simplify it down, you make videos, right? Like, you talk about documentaries, films, but within the niche of videos, where do you find to be your sweet spot? What do you like to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of things to answer that question. The company's called Fungi Media. So we think of ourselves as like fun guys and fun gals. It's like a bad dad joke. But give it some time.
Because your logo is a mushroom.
It is. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the fun guy on top of that.
It's a little bit of like our style, our brand is we're fun. We're the fun people. We make fun, silly stuff a lot of times.
Okay.
But people come to us a lot for like, and it's interesting. There's kind of this weird niche of like business communication, business video, business, whatever, can often be very stale. And
Sure.
sometimes it's very like complex. And if you want to be funny somehow in it, you have to really know the nuances of the language of what you're speaking. Cause it's not just about like rubber balls. It's about like a more complex offering or whatever the company does. And so we've gotten really good about understanding that, and like getting really embedded with our clients, and then being able to make something actually fun, and dare I say it, even funny. We just made a video for a company about returning to the office, and this is for like 10,000 different employees. It's an internal thing, it's not a marketing thing, but
sure.
We made a bunch of jokes in it, and we tried to make it funny, because it's like, okay, this is not a funny concept, but
right.
if you're going to make something, can you make something people would actually want to watch? So that's kind of the fun guy stuff.
Yeah. Is that why you brought Nate onto the team? Is that how that developed?
Yeah, I think, my personal, it's kind of like the fun guy thing. And then there's the Matt Cornelison thing is, I think of myself as, I guess, a storyteller and an entertainer. If I had to like put it into those two phrases, that's what I would use, because that's what I'm doing all day with companies, and I'm helping them tell their story through video. But then the entertainment side is like also happening, like as a musician, as a I guess a comedian, so to speak. That's my sort of my passion in terms of how I'm spending a lot of my time outside of work. And sometimes I get lucky enough to kind of combine those things into work. And so Nate Katanis is sort of born out of like living in this world of marketing and influencers and thought leaders, and having a foot in that, but seeing all the kind of goofiness of it. And then my entertainer side of being like, we need to make fun of this somehow.
Well, so, when we reconnected, I don't know, a month or two ago, and then you told me about Nate, and I've been following you on Instagram since. It's pretty funny, man. And I appreciate, you go live on and just kind of throw stuff out there. And if I need a little bit of a breakup of the day, I'll honestly go to your feed and see what Nick Katanis is talking about, and then have a quick smile and go on with my day.
Yeah, you might be motivated in not the way you expected. It might just motivate you to laugh a little bit, hopefully. So
yeah, sure, man. Well, look, I think it's working for you. So keep going down that path, because I'm enjoying it, and you got a nice following on Instagram. So hopefully Nate gets some more work here soon for you too.
Yeah, I hope so, man. It's going to be something I'm going to do whether they pay me or not. So it's kind of like the music thing. It's like, every artist, or whatever you want to call it, wants to share their stuff. You still make it with the hopes of other people experiencing it.
Sure.
But I think people who are really into what they're doing, they'll probably do it anyways.
Right.
Because they like the process, So I'll keep doing it, and let's hope that other people keep on liking it, and we'll see what happens, I guess.
Nice, man. So any cool projects you've done lately that you wanted to talk about for Fungi? Like what is I know I get the comedy side of business. I think that's a pretty cool niche, and I'm sure it's pretty welcome to people. But what other things, have you done in the last couple of years or most recently?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there's sort of a range of things, I think we have certain projects that are like, this is going to pay the bills, this is going to get the job done, and it's part of your kind of day-to-day stuff. And then everyone, we get some of these other projects that are like, holy cow, this is super fulfilling, and like,
Right.
we really got to kind of like flex our muscles here a little bit and do what we do best. And a couple of things that come to mind. One of the things that we're doing, and we're doing it for multiple clients, we're starting to do this, is we're doing a lot of sort of like live event, like virtual event, live stream types of engagements where this is, think of it like it could be an internal type of like a town hall type of a thing for a large company where you got to bring everybody together around the world. Or it could be like a conference or a marketing type of a thing. And I think the thing I'm excited about with those projects is, number one, it kind of like lights me up on like that live like experience where I think of myself as a performer. I like working with performers. Yep. And maybe they're not necessarily musicians, but they're presenters or whatever. And so I really like working in that environment. So personally, that's like a really fulfilling thing. And I just think there's a huge opportunity for this to rethink these types of experiences, especially with coming out of the pandemic. People are really trying to figure out like, how do we make this really something that people actually want to attend? Like, whether it's like maybe a traditional sort of a webinar, or just like a live video show, or like a conference or whatever, you're bringing people together and you're trying to educate them or entertain them, or at least help them feel connected to something. And so I think that's something I'm really excited about, that we've just kind of started to do really because of the pandemic.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that, the thing that I like about remote access, whether it's remote meetings or events or whatever entertainment, is just the speed of it, right? Like if I need to go and travel to Vegas to go to a conference, I mean, that's like 4 days out of my day, out of my life, that, I might be able to get in one day remotely. And, I know it's not the same, and you're never going to replace in person, but the spirit, one of our clients, they've always done an in-person thing. They had to transition remote, to a virtual. And so now it's, how do you do the in-person and virtual together so you can reach more people? Those that want to be in person, those that want to be remote, and not just during pandemic times, but beyond that. Right.
Totally. Yeah. I think that's the exciting thing. I think you're totally right. It's like, there's going to be a hybrid of this stuff now.
Right.
And I think it's not just about band-aiding a problem about, we can't, we're in a pandemic and we can't get together in the same space. It's more about like, it kind of forced people to figure this out a little bit, to lean into the technology.
Yep.
And now they're discover like, there's this world of opportunities. And I think that's the exciting part, is like kind of rethinking like, how could you create an experience that people would be pumped to join in person or from the screen if they had to. And I'm totally into that. And I think that's a problem I was always playing with being in bands and being in comedy, and like, how does this experience, we're going to have these performers up on stage, and how are we going to create this experience, and how are we going to use some of our technology and video and stuff like that to make it like entertaining and fun and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of growth opportunity that's going to come out of this because of, those that really want to dig into it and make it a two-way or a multiple way experience, because there's so much opportunity out there. And for me, speed is the game. Like if you can get more people quicker, more often, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
But no one's going to replace an in-person experience, nor, would anybody expect to.
No, I mean, I'm still always, I mean, I'm probably suffering, in terms of the people that are like working remotely and hadn't been before. I'm like, I need to be around people. That's like my mode.
Yeah.
And it's been hard for me. I'm like at cabin fever and stuff. So I'm 100% on the boat of like excited to be around people again.
Nice. So let's talk a little bit about your leadership style. One of the things I always like to cover in this podcast is kind of like, maybe you could talk about your previous company that you worked with when you had a bigger team, or even your team now with your extended team. Like, how do you feel your leadership style? What kind of leader are you, and what is it that you do to keep people motivated and head in the right direction?
Yeah. Whew. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think it's something that I'm really start to really assess myself in a way that I hadn't before. Very, especially in the past year or two, with some of the challenges and as I am trying to build a team. I'm trying to scale my business, and I really have to think differently about it because I learned a lot about how to maybe manage people before at my last company,
Yeah,
but I think I had a long way to go to learn how to lead people. I think that's a distinction I think
for sure.
that is important. And when I was in my last company, I was managing a good chunk of the business. I was managing up to about 20 people, and that, some people manage a lot more people than that, but for me that was a lot, and I was in my 20s,
Yeah.
mid 20s, and like hadn't really I'd played sports, so I knew how to work, kind of be competitive, and I'd done well in school. So I'd done, some of the basic things, but I really hadn't managed a team before that. And I kind of managed like looking back, kind of really thinking about what it was probably like for people. Probably not everybody enjoyed that experience working with me, because I think about um, I was probably a little bit rougher around the edges in terms of like really commanding a certain performance, sort of setting expectations that I think I probably, I expected everybody to do everything that I did the way that I did it. And if it
Sure.
didn't work out that way, we had a lot of conversations and that sort of a thing. And so I think some of the softer skills that I started to develop after were understanding things like just basic human needs, and how to like, create a space where people could come to you if they have an issue and a problem and feel safe doing so, and using, being vulnerable, and some of these basic things that, Brene Brown talks about, I think is she's like the queen of vulnerability. But like some of these things that maybe a lot of people knew or have experience with that I quite hadn't had experience with. So I think I learned, by doing, and learned what not to do by doing, and when I had some wins, I think I was probably good at like maintaining, sort of really trying to reinforce a culture of discipline and think some of those things that I did really well, but I wasn't great at, connecting with people, making people feel heard, making people feel that sort of a thing. And
Right.
so that's what I'm really trying to figure out now, like trying to master now, because um, it's so clear now at, I don't know, my age or experience or whatever, how important those skills are to be a leader, so that people would want to follow your vision and
Right.
get behind it, get excited about it, and then take over and own it too, um, so it's going from that manager to leader thing. And I think one of the things that I try to read a lot of books. And I know you have to do more than just read, but I was just reading The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Have you read that one?
I haven't.
It's kind of one of it's been around for a while. I think it stands the test of time. Stephen Covey, where, one of the things that he talks about is the different types of delegation, and this idea of, and he uses these terms, but there's like, uh, go for delegation or stewardship delegation. He talks about how, go for delegation is like, go for this, go for that, do this. Basically, if you're managing people or people working under you, you're sort of like just telling them every little thing to do. It's kind of like micromanaging, I guess.
Right.
with the flip side of that is stewardship, where it takes a lot longer, and you have kids, so you've probably like actually really had some real hands-on experience with this, where you really have to spend a lot of time with them on the front end of helping them understand um, some really foundational basic things that they can use ongoing afterwards. And I think thinking of yourself as a steward instead of just like a daily manager that's the kind of the skill set I'm really trying to focus on. So getting better at the important things and maybe letting some of the urgent things take a back seat.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think that's a cool, I'll have to check out that book. You know, and it's one of those things that it's we were just talking before we started recording that, you know, I'm dealing with just that right now. I'm trying not to micromanage the situation, but, you know, lean more into, because naturally I feel like I'm in that stewardship kind of thing, but then it's so easy to slip right back into it's not getting done right, I want it done this way. And
Yeah.
that's a short fix, not a long-term, you know, growth strategy.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I'm sure a million different entrepreneurs have felt this thing before, but like you're so used to putting out fires and you know, it's like knowing when when you should put that fire out and when you should let somebody else maybe handle it, or prepare somebody else to put out some of those fires so you're not always doing it. And somebody else used an analogy of like, are there opportunities where you can let somebody take the car out and maybe they don't total it, they just ding it up a little bit and they come back and it's got a few scratches and that's okay.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think it's a lifelong learning thing, but it starts with mindset, I guess, maybe for me. That's one of the biggest things I've learned is just, while I'm going to never stop learning those skills, and I'm probably have some strengths in some places and weaknesses in others, I think just at least just self-awareness, to start to know that you don't have it all figured out, is a great place to start. I think that's really led to a lot of good things for me anyways, in terms of leadership wins and successes and working with other people, is that if you can at least be aware enough to know you have a lot to learn, no matter what stage you're at.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's like one of those things, right? It's like, I'm at this stage where I'm kind of early on in my business. I've got just a couple people. I have a network of freelancers, but there are people maybe who are a little farther along, and maybe you think of yourself that way, where you've got 10 people or you've got more people, and the sort of the type of problem changes a little bit.
For sure.
And that mindset's got to change even differently. You've got to elevate it, you know, even differently. So where I'm at, that's kind of like what I'm focused on. And I know
self-awareness is good, honesty is good, vulnerability, like you mentioned earlier. I mean, all those things combined is just it's gonna keep it real, you know, even if just for yourself, so you're not, you know, and then you can carry that throughout, and you know, ultimately you know, you should be happier at and that's the way I approach it, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I mean, one of the things I'll say, last thing about this, is like, this is a Brene Brown thing, that she has a daring leadership. I'm going to butcher that. I have to look up that book, but talking about this concept of managing by compliance versus, you know, and the idea being like, some of us have this in us and some of us don't for whatever reason, but I do. Is like, that person's not respecting me by doing what I said I wanted them to do. And feeling triggered by like something, like, why am I mad about this?
Right.
And understanding, like, is it because of the fact that they're really doing something that's detrimental or bad or whatever it is, or is it because they're not doing what I said, which are two very different things.
Sure.
And I think one of the things I started to like learn about myself was like, oh, I have a little quirk there, like, that I need to kind of iron out. I get triggered by those things sometimes, and it's not going to help. It's not going to be helpful. And because people are different, right? Some people need, if you're managing or leading somebody, it's like, you know, some people react really well to like just direct, like, do this thing, and and
Yeah.
like they appreciate, like they get clarity as kindness, and like they kind of are, maybe they've had that experience in their own lives, and other people need a longer leash and need to do something a little bit different. So I think it's getting, that's goes back to that self-awareness thing. It's like, okay, what are the things that are triggering me, and what do I need to kind of iron out to improve? And for me, like that concept of not managing by compliance, but more for the greater good, is something that was a big learning moment too.
Yeah, and being a good leader is knowing what type of leadership people need as well, right? So anticipating, and I think that really comes with experience. And you can quickly be like, "Oh, I've been in this situation before." I can kind of, and we again talked offline a little bit. Following your gut usually gets you to where you need to be, anyways, because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. I mean, I'm totally with you on that. And I don't know how many times I've, second guessed myself and like, you're just, you got to lean back into that intuition. And
right.
that's, informed by your experience,
Nice.
for
So
sure.
let's talk a little bit about what the future of Fungi or Matt looks like. What do you have coming up? Where would you like to take this company and or the entertainer side of yourself?
Yeah. I mean, I think I guess there's like kind of this artist in me, and there's this sort of, business person in me, this sort of entrepreneur. So it's kind of fueled by both things. I really do, in terms of Fungi, in terms of the company, I really do want to build, you know, uh, I want to build a world. I want to build a place. I want to build a community, where, the people that sort of with shared values, people that I really want to make movies with,
Yep.
can make movies together. And I want to, there's some specific things. For example, I do want to bring on more people to expand the team. We've kind of gone virtual this past year, but the goal is to have a modest studio that we can use to serve our clients. But also part of where I'm going with the business is to actually build IP and original content, that would not just be a service side of the business, but also something that we can use. So, for example, I'm writing a show that may or may not be, sold one day. For
Okay.
example, I have just recently brought somebody on who's comes from the documentary world and is very, very heavily involved in that sort of side, that style of content, and
Right.
brand type content. So I think for us, it's sort of our style and the things that we're doing at our current scale. It's at a bigger scale with more people, and then also this other sort of original side of the thing that's kind of a slow build for us, but that's the thing that I think the big picture, that's where it's going.
Cool. So that's pretty interesting strategy to kind of take a content focus. Now you've got to build it. Now, is that something that you hold behind closed doors, or do you build it out, build an audience, and as it starts to gain traction, somebody might pick it up?
Yeah, I mean, with Nate Katanis, it's just an example. There's
Right.
other types of things that we're kind of doing, but that would be one example where it's an original brand, so to speak. I guess it's a
Sure.
personal brand, that we're just kind of playing in the sandbox with a little bit. But the idea here is, so we're, written a sort of a series of scripts that we would like to produce and make into content that could be distributed, and potentially sponsored. And there's a couple different models that sort of exploring, whether that's like what everybody knows, Netflix. So you can imagine what that would look like, but whether that's that or an OTT model, or it's something that is actually backed by like a sponsor or like another brand that we're like really connected
Sure.
with. So I'm not, I wouldn't like hide what we're doing unless it for some reason was under some sort of NDA. So there's
Or
nothing
or
super top
funded.
secret.
Yeah, or
Was that?
funded separately or something like that. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the difference probably, is where, from a business perspective, everything that I'm doing, everything we're doing right now is totally self-funded, right? We're not raising any capital. It's all based off of revenue and stuff that we've generated. Some of that, could go into a project like this if we felt like it was, if I felt like it was something worth pursuing. But I think that the bigger picture would be, I would prefer to work with the best of the best people on something like this, where I think we need to bring in different entities to get something like this done. So I see that as kind of a second, like almost like two businesses.
Right. So you got your
Like
service agency. Do you call yourself an agency?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we mostly do. We're not like a traditional production company, because we do a lot more, like we do content strategy and we do a lot of sort of agency like things. But we also work with agencies. So I guess technically we're an agency, but we never want people to think we're taking over their jobs.
Right. I know it's a fine line with the agency world for sure.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Well, Matt, I really appreciate you taking the time, and if you could tell Nate as well, we appreciate him. Now, we never caught Nate's website. Do you happen to know it?
Yeah, I do. It's natecatanus.com. So that's natecatanus.com.
Perfect.
As you can imagine how it's spelled. And yeah, you can download all kinds of free ebooks. He says they're free, but you usually have to pay something. Yeah.
Well,
So all kinds of value coming out of that website.
I'm
Highly
gonna
recommend checking it out.
I'm gonna check it out. I followed you followed Nate on Instagram, but I'll have to check out the website next.
Yeah. You can book Nate to motivate your virtual meeting.
Yeah.
You could book Nate to speak at your conference. You could book Nate to send you a motivational video message. There's all kinds of, if you really need to get inspired, you need to inspire your team. He's available to do so.
I like that. So you could book them to send a video message. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, people have done that. There's been multiple times where, like a company or like a league of whatever, like whatever group of people, they'll kind of like Cameo almost.
Sure.
They'll book him to give him a couple of, and there's a little form to fill out. You can give him some like insider knowledge.
Yep.
And he'll put together a video message that is certain to inspire the hell out of everybody. So I hear.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, thanks, Matt. Appreciate you taking the time, and it was good catching up with you before this call and this as well. So thanks again.
Thank you, Adam. It's been a pleasure. Appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Take care.